Okay, the newest Pokemon game, Legends just came out, and it's come out to like very mixed reviews. On one hand, you got the die-hard Pokemon fans saying it's actually a great game, and that the graphics being bad aren't a big deal, and no one should really care about that because the game's about catching Pokemon. On the other hand, you have people saying like Nintendo's trash, Pokemon's trash, it's all trash, all bad, 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 bad. I, like most normal people, fall somewhere in the middle of that. Just for some context, this is the very first like Pokemon game that I've ever owned or played. Like, okay, when I was very young, back when I was like 4 or 5, I used to go to a friend's house and I played Pokemon Fire Red on their Game Boy, and that was about it. That's my only experience with like a paid Pokemon game. Otherwise, it's just been things like Pokemon Go and things of that nature. I'm gonna start with a lot of things that I didn't like about the games, things that kind of I think will give a lot of people friction, and a lot of the valid criticisms people have, and then I'm gonna go into like a lot of the game's flowers. I think there are definitely very good things about the game to like, and I think that it would be a disservice and honestly dishonest to not bring them up. Okay, for some perspective, the games I've played this year, like before this specifically, were Expedition 33, Persona 5 Royal, and Persona 3 Reload. Like, these are three master classes in like RPGs. We all know the famous saying, comparison is a thief of joy, Sun Tzu, Art of War. But like, I can't really help myself. I'm human, damn it. First off, let's talk about the visuals. I think the visuals of this game are pretty underwhelming, and I think that's honestly being very generous with it. You can see like when it's all sunny, it's not like the worst thing ever, but you definitely can tell that there's not like a lot going on. Like every character is practically standing still except for like one or two people. Outside of just like the graphics alone, I really want to talk about the UI. It feels like when you're watching like a Disney TV show and you have like freaking Zack and Cody playing video games with a controller not even connected to the console, and this is like the fake game they have like playing. Like, you can tell it's like Pokemon themed, but it's not like ugly per se, but it's very like minimal. It's the same issue that I have with like the Switch homepage, where like you can see it's too simple. I kind of miss like what the Wii and Wii U had. I don't really need all the visuals to be super maximalist. I don't need the UI to look like the Persona games, but like look at these menus and tell me they're not like amazing. There's so much flair and substance. Like genuinely, it makes me, it really added to my enjoyment of those games. When I first played Persona 3 Reload, I spent literally like 5 minutes just like opening the menu because I couldn't believe just like how fun and cool it looked. I need to use bigger words than fun and cool. It literally oozed aura. There was so much style, so much presence. You can really tell that rent was due for these Atlas employees because the way these menus look are genuinely phenomenal. Looking at Legends EA, it's not the worst thing ever. It's not like ugly, but it's very simple. It's a little too simple. Like, I think the Pokédex looks fine personally, but other aspects of the menu I want to have more style and character. As far as the actual like graphics of the game goes, I think there are parts of the game that definitely look better than others. I think the areas where you're further away from any of like these buildings here, the areas where you're like underground, the areas where you're like in a shopping mall and like all the buildings have more like details and character to them because there's supposed to be shopping plazas where you're buying stuff. I think those areas look better. And unfortunately, I think that's a detriment to the game because most of the game are not regions like those. Most of the game are those buildings with the flat, dull textures. And while I don't need my graphics to be ultra realistic like GTA, I don't need the graphics to be so good that I can see like the beads of sweat coming off of basketball players landing on the basketball court. I want better, especially for the price of the game. That's the biggest thing. Pokemon games used to be $40. They were on a 2DS or 3DS or Game Boy or whatever it may be, and the screens were tiny. Their resolution was low. Nobody expected these games to look phenomenal, but they had a lot of character. There was like soul to them. The visuals of this game are very interesting because like you have parts of the game that are like very modern. It runs at 60 FPS. If I had a 4K monitor, my game would run at 4K. the character model looks like it's in HD, right? Even like the Pokemon look pretty good if you ask me. This is a smaller issue, but I feel like the music of this game could be a little bit better. I tried to think of what the music for this game is like, and every time I tried to think of something, I just couldn't. Everything that came up would be like a Persona music. It's a little crazy in my opinion. Oh my god, brother. This is another issue with the game. The day-night cycle is kind of annoying. When night happens, you get this battle zone activated, which is fine, but any like Pokemon battle you're doing gets reset. That's super frustrating. So like that Pokemon I just fought and killed and tried to catch, I didn't get to catch because it was interrupted by that day-night cycle. Now the story and progression of the game is like, it's pretty fun. It's called like Legends ZA because you're kind of like in a little tournament where you have to like fight every night and you rank up from like rank Z to A. And you can only like do these tournament battles at night. And part of these like tournament battles include like your gym battle, this game's gym battles, quote unquote. But there's nothing like insanely crazy about the story and how you progress in this game. I'm not like, it doesn't feel like ultra satisfying to go from like rank Z to rank A. I do want to say that like while the story and like progression are not like top tier amazing, it is like on a tier list, it would be like B tier for me. I want to say that grinding in this game really isn't a chore. You know how crazy that is? Like most games where I have to grind a lot, I end up getting bored. I end up wanting to drop it. It's not the most enjoyable thing ever to me. But I think grinding in this game really isn't a chore, and I think the battle system is fun, and I think those are real things that should be praised for this game. Before I like go into all of the other flowers, I want to make it clear that like I understand this is a game aimed towards children, but I think children deserve quality art. They should have good movies, good stories, good games, good everything to play and experience. Just because children can like experience less and be happier with that doesn't mean they deserve to experience less. Flowers time. Like I said, I think the gameplay is genuinely fun. I think there's a lot of good things to be said about the battling system. It's similar to the Xenoblade games, and I really like this live like real-time action. I've really grown to appreciate turn-based games this year. And I was worried that with this game not being turn-based that I'd miss out on like some of the joy that might come from like the simpler turn-based combat of Pokemon. But those worries are like gone. A lot of the time I feel like in a casual Let's Play of Pokemon, people never need to use the moves for status effects. Does that make sense? They never need to do anything to raise special attack or defense. They never need to like do anything to set like an arena or like special effects or whatever it may be specifically for like a casual Let's Play. I feel like in this game, you truly do benefit from it. You have a lot to gain from actually taking it seriously. Using those like moves feel like you're rewarded a lot more in this game than you are in other games. And I really think like the best part of this game is really like catching and collecting Pokemon. Brother. Excuse me, I didn't really think I'd care about filling out the Pokédex, but it actually has been fun. This game has a lot of wild zones. These are just areas within the city where like wild Pokemon spawn. And that's where you can like find and like collect Pokemon for your Pokédex and just like for you to use in the game. And in these regions are freaking alpha Pokemon. These alpha Pokemon got red eyes. Ever heard of Blue Eyes White Dragon? Nah, make way for Red Eyes Red Pokemon. I don't know why I said it so weird. So these guys got a ton of aura around them, you know. They do a lot of damage, they're scary. Okay, you can like actually die in this game like your character can. But the alpha Pokemon take a little more effort to fight. They take more effort to collect and kill. And I think though when you do kill them and you do get to capture them, it is rewarding. You get them on your team, they have beefed up stats. They're generally like better than like whatever the normal version would be. I think that's like a great mechanic. I really like that. Along with like bringing back Mega Evolutions. I never experienced Mega Evolutions the first time, But I think Mega Evolutions overall were like a really cool concept and mechanic, and I'm glad they brought it back. I think that while we may not like all the designs, there are some really cool like Mega Evolution designs, and I'm kind of glad that we got to see them. The last thing I want to bring some praise to are like some of the boss fights. Slight spoilers, but in this game there's lots of like rogue Mega Evolutions, and those end up being like some of the boss fights you go against. And those battles, like, some of them do feel like kind of samey, but some of them are like unique, and I think it ends up being overall pretty enjoyable. They could definitely be better. Like if you're someone who's very used to like the boss fights of frickin' Persona or Elden Ring or Hollow Knight, this is not going to be like anything like that. It is a lot simpler. You have to remember it's made for kids. I want to say overall, like while the tutorial was very handholdy, and it genuinely did take a long time to get through the tutorial. After the few hours that tutorial took, after like playing for a few hours, I did get more immersed into the world. The graphics didn't bother me as much, and I was enjoying more and more of the gameplay. That's what I started to like quote unquote fall in love with. The gameplay was genuinely great. I think the game truly deserves a lot of praise for the budget of the budget that it had and what it offers, but I think the criticisms are valid, and I think it really does bring a disservice to this game. I do think this probably has been like the best Pokemon has ever been though. Was the game like really worth $70? No, I think people would not complain if it was $40, $50. Should the graphics of the game be better? Yeah. Is it a bad game? No, I'd say like at worst it's like a mid. It's pretty mid. It's like a 5 out of 10. On a scale of 1 to 10 where 5 is mid, at worst it's a 5 out of 10. I think at best it's like pretty good, like a 7 out of 10. I think for those Pokemon fans who do get the game, they will enjoy it. If you're someone who's never played Pokemon, if you have no interest in Pokemon, it's a for sure a skip. If you're waiting for like the great leap of Pokemon into the modern era, I don't think this is the game for that. I think it will happen eventually, I just really don't think it's this game.